Well, thank you, Jason, for taking the time to sit down with Washington Wine. We're super excited just to get the chance to talk to you, to get to know who you are, get to know a little bit about the character of DeLille Cellars, the wines that you all put out there. And, you know, as somebody who enjoys wine and is on this side of the mountains, just getting to know also this incredible space that you guys now have. So, welcome to our WA Winemaker series.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
So I guess where I do want to start is where we are. So in this physical location, y'all opened again in June of 2021.
Yeah, we are currently in the new restaurant, The Lounge at DeLille Cellars. We saw it as an opportunity to show kind of a more casual side to the brand. The tasting room is, you know, casual elegance to a T, great tasting experience. But you can come here and lots of people want to have a, a glass of wine or share a bottle, have some nice food. So the restaurant gave us a great outlet for that. We've been working with the same chef for 20 years as a business. You know, he was able to step right in and help us open it up and curate the menu, put a great team together. So yeah, it's been pretty amazing to see how well it's been received.
Obviously, this is an iconic place anyway, Red Hook Brewery. I mean, absolutely. I remember riding my bike down the Burt Gilman, you know, having a glass or a pitcher or two of beer and trying to make it back to Seattle. But this is like a very, you know, it's an iconic space, first of all, because of the history of Red Hook, but then also, this is also a unique place for Woodinville too, especially with Woodinville being such an incredible community of wineries. Now you also have this almost like little community center.
Come make a reservation here, but you also make a reservation at 5 other wineries. It's gonna be amazing.
If you were to dine here for lunch today, is there a specific
chicken sandwich with, I know it's chicken sandwich with fries, like everybody. Just go for that. Great wedge salad too, if you don't want to just like, you know, overdo it.
And what would you pair the chicken sandwich with?
This time of year, beer. Until I hit Thanksgiving, I'm not ready for I'm not ready for wine again. And the post-harvest, I'm just not. I know everything smells like ferment still. I'm not ready. Thanksgiving is my day.
So speaking of being grounded here, not just in the place, but also in the time. Like harvest is just in the rearview mirror. You've had a full night's sleep now.
I've had the 2. It's been great. It was really early for us, really early and really compressed. We actually pressed everything out in October. Normally we get until Halloween or maybe even to early November for harvesting. But yeah, we wrapped it up in 10 weeks, which we normally can be 12, 14, or even 16. So it's fast and furious for us. So.
Yeah, and I read somewhere that harvest is your favorite time of year.
If you can't get excited about harvest, you're doing the wrong thing. Yeah, you know, I just focus, take care of my team, being in vineyards, keep, catching up growers. Yeah, it's a fresh start every year. I think that's something that makes me really grateful for the opportunities, no matter how well or not you did the year before. For me, I'm cursed with being able to identify the ways that we can get better every time. Yeah. So I kind of brush right past that success, and it's like, okay, how can we get better?
But always being on your toes, always dealing with the elements. I mean, every year, the weather, the climate brings you new challenges.
Yeah.
What did this year bring you that maybe was a surprise?
Harvest is always just adapt. It's never what you expect it to be. What I've been saying is over and over again is if you look at growing degree days for 21, warmest on record, expect everything to be early, pretty much overripe, really high potential alcohols before flavors came along, and potentially a lot of shrivel as well, because a lot of that heat came early, just really hard for the grapes to keep water in those berries. And that's just not what we saw. Although it was early and it was condensed, overall 21, I mean, I couldn't be happier and more surprised.
Let's go into a little bit of your story. I know I've heard a little bit about your story in terms of your mentor introducing you to a sommelier who kind of put you on this wine path. Let's say that you didn't have that mentor. What would Jason be doing right now if he wasn't making wine?
Well, I mean, the only other thing I've ever done is I worked for a biotech company, so I'd probably be using my bio degree. Yeah. I'd probably still in love with wine and thinking one of these days I'll have enough money to go make wine or something like that.
Because that was straight out of college.
It was straight out of college, and it was I was an athlete, so I was going to take a redshirt year. Got injured again, so it was like, get me out of here, try to graduate on time. So I focused on just, getting it done, and then just try to get into a winery anywhere I could. Yeah. Ended up in my home state of New Jersey for about 18 months making wine there before I moved to Washington in 2002.
What was the sport that you played?
I was a wrestler. Yeah.
A wrestler?
Yeah.
Did you grow up wrestling?
Yeah. So, age 5, I coached at my old high school for about, the 2 years I was back in New Jersey as well.
So you have like this biochemical background and you're a wrestler. Does that make you well suited to wrestle grapes and the vines and everything that you...
I guess. The other thing I say about wrestling is like, you're part of a team. But a lot of the hard work is when no one's looking, and I think that's something that I still really embrace for the winemaking side. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. I come in scary early and get stuff done, and I like that. Makes me feel like I'm contributing, to get up at the 0 dark 30 and come in and punch down and kind of set the stage for everybody for the day.
You want to open a bottle here and tell me maybe a little bit about what we have on the table?
I'll open up the white. Okay. This is our Chaleur Blanc. So this is a blend of Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon. No sugar, 100% mallow, so totally dry. And then we'll start stirring those lees. So you start to get all the lees impact of being in contact with all that yeast, kind of like champagne and cask conditioned or bottle conditioned beer. Adds a nice creaminess element, and then Sauvignon Blanc super acidic. So that's kind of the goal here, is get it dry and then trick your palate into thinking it's sweet with all the oak influence and the lees and etc.
Awesome. Cheers.
Yeah, salud. It's my wife's favorite wine, so as I always say, pressure's on.
Yeah, right.
I love making white wine though, so we always poll all the winemaking team members, and I think it's between this and we make a wine from this tiny old vine vineyard on Snipes Mountain called Harrison Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, that is delicious.
But this is like.
So how would you be describing what you're smelling right now?
A lot of like lime curd, kind of almost custardy. You get the brioche kind of element of that, the baking spice often from this wine, and the contact again with the lees and the barrel influence. I think of this barrel as less of that chocolatey, but this kind of goes more to like pine needles or eucalyptus a little bit, but something in that mint family, spearmint family.
Yeah, yeah.
It does remind me of Pacific Northwest forest, like carpet of fir needles.
I was gonna say I'm getting like a little like Pacific Crest Trail.
Exactly.
Actually,
yeah.
A little bit of like some Snoqualmie Pass.
Yeah. It's earthy and
right. I-90 going over the hill.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, a wine of time and place. We're okay with that here.
Somewhere I read that you had talked about you don't necessarily like being called a winemaker, but more so making the wine. That you're in love with the making of the wine versus being a winemaker.
It's the process that I'm in love with, and there's so many things that people gloss right over when they think of as winemaker. They think of maybe this, we always joke, patches on the elbow, swirl on the glass. But most of the time I'm dressed in Carhartts and work boots and working alongside my team, cultivating my team, real relationships in the vineyard and with our vendors, whether it's something as simple and unromantic as a case of empty glass, cork, capsule, barrel. We're working very closely with a whole bunch of people, and that's the part, to knowing how many puzzle pieces are really in that, and at the end of the day, hopefully somebody sits down and actually enjoys it. After all those million decisions that go into it, I think generally what people think I do versus, what we actually do as a team, is very different sometimes.
Yeah, it's not just the tasting of the wine; it's everything that comes behind.
Yeah, and like most things in life, it's the relationships that really, are what are the most rewarding.
So, it's such a huge collaboration between the wineries and the winemakers and the farmers and the farming community.
Yeah.
And so how tight is that collaboration? We always like to shine a light on the farming community because, they're the ones who are growing the grapes, and allowing, giving us a chance to actually sit here and have these wines that then you make.
We just harvested for the 30th time, and we've been with some of those vineyard partners that whole time. I was not here 30 years ago, but those relationships are now generational. I mentioned Harrison Hill. I'm working with the third generation of Newhouse that I've met. That the fact that we're building something that has those kind of generational transitions is pretty amazing to me.
I feel like the word community can get thrown around a bunch these days, but by and large, it always continues to feel like this industry is not an industry, it is a community.
You start to get to know these people and care about them, and I wouldn't have it any other way. That really genuine, down-to-earth, amazing people in Washington State. I'd say, top to bottom, every aspect of it.
So you've had how many harvests in Washington State?
18, if I'm doing my math right.
Okay. So being here for that long, that's like a pretty sizable chunk of Washington's history. As you look ahead, where is Washington kind of in its arc?
Part of what holds us back is part of what makes us super strong, and sense that we have this pioneering spirit, and we're not known for one thing, but we do all things great. Honestly, we do all things great. Riesling to Cabernet and everything in between. We're doing it all well, so it's kind of hard for us to be synonymous with an individual wine or style. I think we all kind of embrace that too, because that means let's do better, let's try new things, and you know, if they can do it, why can't we?